Welcome to Stache Sports Episode 2. Thank you for all of those views and comments on video 1. Today, I'll be talking about a comment I got on video 1 about my view about Notre Dame being left out of college football playoffs and who I think is going to win the college football playoffs and be this year's college football national champion. Also, we have breaking news out of Pittsburgh this morning about our star linebacker. I'll get into that later. And I'll also talk about my Thursday night football predictions between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons in Tampa Bay. First, this morning I woke up to breaking news out of Pittsburgh. The star linebacker, TJ Watt, was admitted to the hospital with a lung issue after experiencing lung issues yesterday. Let's hope there's nothing wrong with TJ Watt and that he can be able to play on Monday Night Football, because when TJ Watt doesn't play on Monday Night Football, when TJ Watt doesn't play for the Pittsburgh Steelers, for a record, isn't that good when TJ Watt doesn't play for them. So let's hope he's not out for an extended period of time. Or if he is out, let's hope that the Steelers can turn around that luck and start winning games even if TJ Watt is not playing. I will keep you updated as I get further updates on the status of TJ Watt. But as of right now, his status for Monday Night Football is up in the air as he is in the hospital for a lung issue. Let's hope and pray that he's okay and it's nothing too long and he can come back and play for the Steelers and get sacks on quarterbacks. Next, tonight's Thursday Night Football game on Prime Video is between the Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons, two divisional rivals. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win this game, and I don't think it's going to be close. I think Baker Mayfield gets back on track to his MVP talk, as they were talking earlier on all these sports media about Baker Mayfield being an MVP quarterback, and goes in with Mike Evans coming back and has a good game tonight, and Bucky Irvin shows up and runs a lot and had a good game too. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers get out of their funk they won last week after getting a shocking loss to divisional rival the New Orleans Saints last week. The Buccaneers rewrite the ship in Tampa Bay and get on the winning track. Next, the 12 team college football playoffs are set. I think Oregon beats James Madison in a big game, in a big score. Unless James Madison is a Cinderella, but I don't see it. I think Ole Miss beats Tulane, but I think Tulane's coach, if that's going to be the coach of the Florida Gators next year, I think he keeps it closer than everybody expects. But I think Ole Miss still wins it. And Ole Miss's coach won't be coaching him to the playoffs because he left in a shocking move and went to rival LSU and will be coaching the LSU Tigers next year. So now Coach Goldberg, I think is his name, will be coaching the Ole Miss Rebels in the playoffs. But Tulane was grateful enough to let the coach him throughout the playoffs. And after the playoffs, he'll officially be the Gators football head coach. Then you have Alabama and Oklahoma. And here's the shocker. Alabama has 3 losses, and Notre Dame has 2 losses, but Notre Dame was left out of the playoffs, and Notre Dame is crying in their lucky charms still today. We'll get to that later in this video. We have Alabama and Oklahoma playing. I think Oklahoma wins this, but in a close game. And Oklahoma moves on to the next round. Then I have Miami over Texas A&M in a close game because Miami had a chip on their shoulder after getting put in the playoffs in a shocking move over Notre Dame after the last couple of weeks not being above Notre Dame, even though this season Miami beat Notre Dame outright. I think Indiana moves on to the next round. I think Oregon moves on over Texas Tech, and I think Texas Tech keeps it close against Oregon, but Oregon moves on. And then I think Georgia beats Ole Miss in the SEC rival, but I think Georgia moves on to the championship game. And then I think Ohio State beats Miami, but in a close game. And Ohio State goes on. And I think Indiana wins their game in a close game. And then I have a rematch of the Big Ten championship game between Ohio State and Indiana this year in the college football championship. And I think that Ohio State will win the rematch this time and be back-to-back championships. Even now, I think Mendoza will be the first quarterback in this year's draft selected. I hope it's to my Pittsburgh Steelers, since we need a quarterback in the future, and I think he'll be good in the NFL. But I doubt it. I think he'll be long gone before the Steelers pick. But we'll talk about that in a later video down the road when the draft is coming down to Pittsburgh. Now let's get to the big controversy of this week. Last couple weeks on the college football playoff show they have, I think it's on Tuesday nights, I don't know. I don't watch it. I just look at ESPN to see who's in the top 25. But anyway, Notre Dame has been above Miami, which I think is wrong, because Miami beat Notre Dame outright this year, the last couple weeks. Even though both the teams didn't play this week, as going into this week, Notre Dame was above Miami and would have been the last team in the playoffs. But the committee decided to change their mind and shocked them by putting Miami in over them. And now they have conference winners, because Notre Dame's not in the conference. The other two teams are conference winners, and James Madison and Tulane. And James Madison's really in there because 7-5 Duke won, and for some reason they didn't put 7-5 Duke in the ACC. 7-5 Duke would have probably made the playoffs anyway. So they put the next best conference winner, I think, which is James Madison, and which I think is right. If you're in the conference, I think you should get rewarded and be able to get rewarded for playing all those hard games this season. And Notre Dame only has themselves to complain about and not crying like Lucky Charms, because in every other sport, Notre Dame is in the ACC, which now, who knows after this cry fit this week, they might not be in it because they might have tarnished their future of the ACC by the stuff their AD has been saying about the ACC that's going around the national media and local media. But Notre Dame only has them to complain about, not the committee. If Notre Dame was in a conference like the ACC, like they are in every other sport, they would have been in the conference championship game playing Virginia and might have been able to beat Virginia and not have to worry about being in the playoffs, because they would have been a lock since they won the ACC. But since Notre Dame thinks they're all high and mighty and above everybody else in football, Notre Dame got the reality hit to them by getting left out of the playoffs because they are not in the conference, in my opinion. And I think they should join the ACC or the conference and stop being a non-conference, because let's face it, how much money would they really lose? I get it. Maybe back in the old days, they would get more money by being on NBC or whatever channels they're on. But with all these conferences becoming bigger and bigger conferences, if they have all these TV deals, how much money will Notre Dame really be losing if they become an ACC full ride member or a Big Ten or whatever conference? Now it's time to join a conference, Notre Dame, and stop crying in their Lucky Charms because you got left out of the playoffs because you're not playing the toughest schedule. Let's face it, near the end of the year, you're playing Stanford and you're playing Duke. You're playing Stanford, you're playing Boston College and Navy. Even though Navy's decent, but Boston College and Stanford did not win that many games this year in the ACC or in the season overall. And Notre Dame, if it was in a conference like the ACC, like I said before, they would have been in the conference championship game, and if they would have won, they would have been no matter what. And we would not have this controversy and Notre Dame crying their Lucky Charms still today. Now, with all this stuff coming out, who knows if Notre Dame will be in the ACC? The ACC might not want Notre Dame, all of Notre Dame sports in the ACC, and they might be looking to join a conference. Will this finally lead to Notre Dame actually joining conference and not being non-conference? Or will Notre Dame actually be able to schedule better teams next year and play better opponents near the end of the year and not be playing these softer ACC teams or whatever you have them? But as I said before, I think Ohio State wins in a close game against Indiana, and let's hope that TJ Watt is okay. I'll be posting more videos on that later once I know. Thank you for all the support and views. If you have comments about what I can talk about in my next video, please leave them under the video. Please, thank you for watching and subscribing. This is Stache Sports signing off.